Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next project, or the introduction of our next project, which we are calling Advocating Through Research essay. As you get ready for the learning that's in this video, as well as in our others, you want to make sure that you have some things that you can take notes with, as they will become valuable resources as you begin and continue this project. So by the end of this video lesson, you should be able to, one, define research and how we are going to be looking at it over the course of this project. You should be able to describe the importance of research, and you should be able to list important characteristics of an effective researcher. These are the things that we want to cover just in this beginning lesson as we're really getting started with this project. So let's consider the following for just a minute. How do you define research? What can research do for you? And what are some effective skills needed to be an effective researcher? So let's start with how we define research. When we're looking at research, we're looking at it as defined as the creation of new knowledge and/or use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. This could include synthesis and analysis of previous research to the extent that it leads to a new and creative outcome. Now remember this, the title of our project is Advocating or Advocacy Through Research. So that means that you're going to be using existing knowledge as a way to advocate or position yourself within or through a particular topic. So why do we research? In many cases, many of us may be in the middle of looking for new career directions. So we research to find out what those careers can do for us, what we might be interested in. Research is actually something that we do on a daily basis. If you think about it, if you ever wonder what the answer to a question is or want to know more about something, in today's age, we have this fabulous thing that we all typically carry around, and that is a smartphone. So we don't really need to wonder about anything. We can just look it up right there. And in essence, you're researching or you're finding out about something. Now, there's multiple different levels to research and multiple different ways to research, but in essence, that's what we're doing. Another reason why you want to build effective research strategies or skills is that you are building transferable skills that can enhance your resume. Again, research is a part of something that we do in our daily lives. And while we may not be, or you may not ever do official research or be an official researcher as a career field, research will definitely be a part of something that you do no matter what position or what career that you intend to seek, as it is a way to build your knowledge about a certain topic, analyze that topic, synthesize the research, and then come to some kind of position for it. Researching can also contribute to knowledge and impact the world in different ways, and we impact it on different contexts. So it could be a small context where you're presenting your research to your colleagues in your office. Could be a larger context where you are presenting your research or your position about something to that could affect a larger context, the state, a little bit larger in the local context, but a way to contribute to the knowledge and impact the world. And finally, we research to publicly advocate for and defend our work, which is really where we're going to focus. You want to research in order to be able to advocate for and defend a position. And we defend it through the evidence that we are able to research, analyze, and then synthesize, and then come to a position because of that research or that evidence. So when we think about what research can do for us as learners, thinkers, critical citizens, we want to understand the research process. In doing that, we develop problem-solving strategies. We develop skills in the interpretation of results. We develop the ability to analyze data. We develop the ability to integrate theory and practice. And we understand that assertions or our positions that we take on different topics do require supporting evidence. And that means that we look at all angles or all positions that a specific topic is taken so that we can arrive at a logical conclusion and we have the evidence to support that logical conclusion. So let's think about what makes a good researcher. There's a lot of different skills that make an effective or good researcher. Inquisitive and creative are two. Attention to detail, being a problem solver, critical thinking, project management, effective communication, patience, determination and perseverance. When we think about determination, perseverance, and patience, those become very important as a researcher because you may not find what you're looking for right away. It will, and in many cases, requires that we stand back and we're patient and we give ourselves the time, but that we persist. A willingness to engage in technology, data collection, analysis, and synthesis, ability to engage in objective thinking, and project management. Now you'll notice I have project management on there twice, and it's bolded and underlined. And the reason for that is that when we engage in this process, we do so by breaking it up into some different steps. And the different steps obviously will build on themselves to get us from beginning to the end of this project. But it will be important for us to engage in each of those steps in the time that we are intended to engage in them, so that you're building those skills that we've been talking about or will continue to talk about and really dive into the research process. Now you'll notice I have above that ability to engage in objective thinking. The reason for that is this. When we're a researcher, we may, and we do, as humans, we tend to walk into something with an already foregone conclusion. So if you're walking into a particular topic where you're like, I already know what my view is, I already know what my opinion is on that, then when we research, what will typically happen is you will only look for things that support that already foregone conclusion. Well, as a researcher, this is really dangerous. And if we are trying to build an argument that would persuade, then we would want to make sure that we are collecting information that would incorporate, especially in our case, all sides of a topic's argument. That way, you're collecting evidence and you are able to, and I always say, close the loop on the argument. Provide your evidence. Because if you only go into it with the foregone conclusion, there is a really good chance you're going to miss something. And if someone is trying to be persuaded or you're trying to persuade your audience and they say, well, now wait a minute, you didn't consider this point of view, then it makes our argument less valid. So we're going to work on that when we start looking at choosing topics and finding sources for it. So let's look at Essay 2 just as an overview, and then we will spend the next few weeks focused on the steps that we're going to take to bring this from the idea phase, which is what we're going to focus on now, all the way to completing the essay. So there are a couple purpose or goals that I would like for us to focus on throughout this process. First one is that it provides us an opportunity to develop approaches to research through inquiry by interrogating a topic and then arriving at a position supported by scholarship or the evidence that we are going to collect to support. And basically what that means is that it's going to allow us to dive into this research process. We get to inquire and interrogate a topic. That means that you get to pull it apart. And when we pull it apart, we look at the different positions of an argument. We read and interpret and analyze all sides, and then you come to a conclusion that is supported by the evidence that you found. Therefore, your position will be the result of the investigation or both sides of an issue. This means that you will be choosing a topic that has a clear argument on both sides. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more in just a few minutes. When we look at this project as a whole, there's three components to it. The first one is a project thinking text, which will be the first thing that we look at. And that's really just a way for you to really think about and ideate on your topic, pull together some preliminary research or information, and then in a project thinking text, just kind of unpack that information. Then we're going to move into an annotated bibliography, which is a way to organize your research so that when you begin to put that third step together, which is the research essay, your evidence is organized in a way that you're able to pull from it as you begin to put together your essay. So when we look at the research process overall, you can see that we've got several steps that we want to play with. This first couple of steps, choosing the topic, collecting a little bit of background information, is what we're going to focus on first. Then we're going to focus on organizing your information and citations, evaluating your information, and then we'll focus on the writing, the editing, revising before we get to that final draft. So you can see we're going to follow several steps. We are combining some of these steps, but we are going to follow these steps to better engage with this writing process from beginning to end. So let's begin with choosing a topic. When we choose a topic for this particular essay, you're going to choose a debatable topic. And the debatable topic, you should be able to, when we get to that project thinking text, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that you are able to clearly articulate both sides of the argument. And that means that you've done some preliminary research to see or know what both sides of the argument are. Now let's think about a debatable topic. What makes something debatable? Debatable means that there are statements or topics with which some people might not agree. They're sometimes called arguments, assertions, propositions, claims, or conclusions. For example, solar energy is the best way of meeting Florida's energy needs in the 21st century. Well, that is someone's claim or assertion that they would then back up with evidence, but that doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree with that. That is absolutely something that somebody is going to have additional evidence to support the other side of that solar energy isn't the best way of meeting Florida's energy needs in the 21st century. So this would be a debatable topic. What makes something non-debatable? Well, these are statements or topics with which no one would normally disagree or argue. Sometimes we call them facts, but you can also consider things that even if someone were to argue with you, it's not really logical. Like if you were to say, murder is bad, somebody might come behind you and go, no, murder's good. Not really a logical argument. However, in this example, we look at something that are like facts. So example, coal and oil are the main sources of energy in the United States in the 20th century. Well, that's a pretty quantifiable fact. So the claim that's being made here is more of a fact, not a debatable topic. What we want for this essay are debatable topics. So let's think about some ideas. In order for you to begin to create or get some ideas, you're going to tour our library databases. Now, there's a tutorial video in this week's module that's going to help you access those databases. But once you get in there, begin to create a list of debatable topics. Now, you're not confined to the different topics that you'll encounter in this one particular database, and you may already begin thinking about something that you have in mind about the topic that you want to explore. As you narrow to only one debatable topic, make sure you're able to articulate the different sides of the argument. In other words, what are the opposing arguments being made in the topic you're choosing? Then create a question from your chosen topic that will guide your research process. For example, should COVID-19 vaccines be mandatory for all U.S. citizens? Should prescription drugs be advertised to the public? Should cities consider defunding their police departments? Now, what you notice in these three examples, which are just examples, these are not things that you have to choose from, these are just examples, but you'll notice that they all started with a topic: COVID-19 vaccines, prescription drugs, and police. Each of those topics, you could come up with a ton of different questions or shoulds that you could research. So it's important once you pick your topic to narrow it to a specific question about that topic, making sure that the question that you're posing does actually have or is a debatable topic, meaning that there you can see that there are multiple sides to it. Another one, should community college be free to all students? What you can see in each of these is that they would set up a way to make a claim or draw a conclusion or an assertion about it. However, in order to do that effectively, you've got to research and understand both sides of the fence. So what's next? Well, you're going to research, you're going to read, you're going to research, and you're going to read. I can't stress enough how important it is to take this time this week to really get into some topics, really research and read, get some preliminary information, and choose a topic that you are passionate about or interested in learning more about. Spend some time doing that preliminary research that will guide your topic decision, and make sure that you're able to articulate both sides of the argument. This is going to be really important when we get to that project thinking text. Once you've gathered your information, you're going to complete the project thinking text assignment that is described in our Canvas module for the week. And when you get into that assignment, it will describe for you what it is that you need to do with the topic, with your preliminary research, and guiding you to what we will do next. Please make sure you use this video in reference anytime you need it. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing everybody online.